The first question is that staying in a community, and more so a spiritual community like Ananda, does it help us more to grow spiritually more than staying individually in the cities and even working in corporate organizations? So
Environment is stronger than willpower. And you may have all the willpower in the world, but when the people around you are worldly, you cannot really become spiritual. If your boss is that way especially, but also your co-workers. When you live in a spiritual community like Ananda, you find that their consciousness helps you to change. It's not only that when you are in a down mood, their up mood lifts you. It's that their kindness, their cooperation, their sharingness, all of this, you notice that the people at Ananda are all kind. Somebody was there for 2 weeks at Ananda village recently. At the end he said, I have not met one unkind person. That kind of influence is very strong, and it helps people very much. I really, in the medieval ages, people, when they wanted to seek God, entered monasteries for that reason. Well, nowadays we can do the same thing. I've started these spiritual communities where people may have children, or they may be monks, or whatever they are. They can still, and still do, seriously seek God. We only want those who are here to seek God. And if people are not harmonious, then we ask them to leave. So we find that this community is an enormous help spiritually. Many, many times people have said to me, thank God for Ananda.
Swamiji, I agree completely. Thank God for Ananda for me also. Thank you so much. And the next question is around the Christmas celebrations and any kind of festivities, like even Diwali for that matter. When we have these social celebrations, how do we remain inward? Because people will be constantly interacting at that time.
Well, you can't be in Samadhi and enjoy Christmas, let's face it. That not many people are in Samadhi. Spiritual events like Christmas and Diwali and so on, they help to uplift the spirit. And Christmas, therefore, has always been a celebration we have looked forward to through the years. It helps to bring the spirits, if not inward, upward.
Okay. And what kind of for people who work in communities, when we are doing our daily activities, a lot of people do it as service, but what kind of quality should we try and develop when we are doing them? Like,
we should have, you see, there are two on the spiritual path, the most important thing is to get rid of the ego. The thought that I'm separate from you, the thought that I'm separate from God. We have to get rid of that thought because we are His dreams. We're all a part of His consciousness. But this thought that I'm Joe and you're Mary, you're John and she's Mary and so on, it's what keeps us separate. Now when we take, we emphasize the ego. When we give, we de-emphasize the ego. So service is a very important thing on the spiritual path because it's a matter of serving. When people work at Ananda, they don't think of it just as work. They think of it as giving. That's why Jesus said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. Blessed because blissful. If it weren't for the work that we do, we would become not so spiritual.
so, and an advice probably after a day-long work, when people have done something like this, towards the end in the night, how should we introspect what we did and what we need to
Well, the main thing after work is to meditate. Introspection is an important part of meditation, but the main thing of our meditation should be to offer ourselves to God. Introspection is actually the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. Dhritarashtra comes to Sanjaya. Sanjaya sends for introspection. Therefore he says, my children and the Pandavas, what did they? Because you don't introspect during activity, you introspect afterwards. So he said, although Sanjaya is there showing them the scenes as they take place, in the Gita it is written, what did they? That is a very important distinction. At the end of the day, you should look and see which side won, the Kauravas or the Pandavas. Your downward side, when somebody said something unkind to you, did you answer angrily? That was a Kaurava. If you answered insults with kindness, that's a Pandava. So always seek which sides of your day in your daily activity, which side won that day. Introspection in that sense is very important. We have to always see how we can check ourselves to go up, always upward. And it's a battle with our own spines, the downward moving tendencies and the upward moving tendencies.
And what quality do you see most or frequent developing, like quickly when people come to Ananda and they stay for a small time? What is the one quality?
The one thing I notice in everybody is they're all happier. But happiness comes as a result of right attitudes. Still, that's the one thing people get when they come to Ananda. They leave happy.
And Swamiji, if we identify a negative trait within us, what should we do to,
Well, the main thing is to become more centered in yourself. When, of course, as it says in the Gita also, their side is numerous. Their side is limited in number. Our side is numerous. Some people translate that to say their side is beatable and ours is unbeatable. But that's not true. It's not numbers in that sense. Your good qualities are few. Your ways of erring are many. So we can't say one specific thing for all of them. But anger, for example, that's a negative quality. Learn to accept things as they are. Jealousy, give it to God. Unkindness, remember that God is in all. There's a cure for all of them. I can't just list every one unless you give me a long list.
Then Swamiji, during times of, when things are going fine, we kind of feel good in the heart. But in terms of when there's a tragedy or there's some negative thing, then how do we have that inner celebration within us?
We have to, I don't say you celebrate, that's the wrong word. If your mother dies, you're not going to dance with glee, unless she's been a very strange mother. No, but you inwardly feel that God came in this form and God has gone back, and I love God in her and I still love her. So give everything to God. Okay.
And one more question I have is, there's a lot of, when we interact with social people and all, so my question was, is God realization a balance between having people in your lives, celebrating with them, and also an individual spiritual pursuit, or it tends to go towards individual spiritual pursuit?
Realization is inward. Therefore it tends, you get help from other people, but when you go into samadhi, you go into yourself. So it's between you and God. Everything in the end is between you and God.
Thank you, Swamiji. One last question I have, maybe not on this, but I had a chat with Devaki and we were trying to find a better word, because oftentimes, especially people who are spiritual, they say things like that is of a worldly nature, or we look, we are not from the world, and probably we were looking for a better word to say that how do we say that we are still in the world but we are on a spiritual path?
Worldly means drawn toward the world. To be unworldly means not to be realistic. But to be spiritual is to go, you're still in the world, but you're not of it. That's what Jesus taught. And Krishna said, we have to practice nishkam karma, action without desire for the fruits. And so if we have to mix with worldly people, then inwardly be with God. I was just writing about a brother of mine, my only brother. He has this resistance to everything I do because it might be unorthodox. And this is a bit of a pain for me, but I have learned to just not listen. I have to see him sometimes, all right, but I just don't care for that. That's not my world. I call worldly that which tends to the world, toward the world. And we want to go toward God. Okay?
Okay.